about what are you going to do about those two mailboxes. So now we've done that. We've activated these, these 1,000 users. Now we want to go through and do a mailbox migration. The mailbox migration is pretty simple. We have a tool that you can download and migrate, download to migrate mailboxes. It's called the Microsoft Online Migration Tool. It's a very simple tool. It comes, you just download it, run it. It will go out and it will find all of the mailboxes that are in your company, and it will list them. And what it will do is it will match with everyone who is in Microsoft Online that's activated. So you can see, here's all the users, and over here where it says no match, it means these people have not matched. David Chow, on the other hand, he has matched and it's migrated. So it's actually very easy. You can click on mailboxes ready to migrate, and that will list everybody who has not migrated but has been activated up in Microsoft Online. So even though you may have 5,000 users, when you bring up this tool, you can quickly scope it down to who are the people that have not migrated at this point, and then you can just go right to them. You then just select the people you want to migrate, and it will then just walk you through a wizard that will migrate them. And what the wizard does, takes all the users, grabs all their content from their local Exchange server, and then copies it up to Microsoft Online. So it will just push all the content. It is multi-threaded, so it'll push it as fast as it can. The other thing it does is it will automatically create a contact in the local Active Directory, and it will create an alternate recipient so that now any mail delivered to that mailbox will be routed up to Microsoft Online. So it does two things. It copies all the mailbox content, and then it creates a mail forwarder. And so those are basically the two things that it will do. And so I'll just show you quickly the wizard. I know I'm going through this pretty quickly. You have two options. You can copy the content, or you can just set the mail forwarder on it. And those are kind of your two options. We go through, we take a look at how much is in the current mailbox, and we compare that to what you have allocated. So by default, by the way, just so you know, we allocate 5 gigabytes of space with Microsoft Online. But we will go to look to see if the mailbox is over that. And if it's over that, we'll warn you. We'll say, hey, look, you've got a mailbox that's bigger than what you're going to migrate to, and we will warn you about that. Then we'll migrate. We have options, a set of filtering options that you can run, so you don't have to migrate all of the content. And this is important if you want to kind of reduce the reduce bandwidth and things like that. And then it just migrates and pushes all the mailboxes up to Microsoft Online. So it's a pretty simple wizard. It walks through, and then after it migrates, it'll migrate all of the content. You get, contacts, distribution lists, calendar items still work. You can update calendar items, reply, and all of these other things. So it's pretty basic, kind of what it does. So the word is risky, by the way, for the next question. But that is mailbox migration. I know I went through it kind of quickly. The last thing I just want to talk about mailbox migration is, as with most tools that we do, there is a set of PowerShell tasks that drive it. So we do have PowerShell tasks that you can then automate this whole process. And that's some of the larger customers, that's what they've done, is they've just built this set of things to go just so it just runs on the back end. This is important, especially if you want to think about throughput and getting a lot of things going.
We have a question, Vincent.
Yeah. Vince?
So that it's not risky for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Do you do any throttling I would imagine if all of a sudden 1,000 companies try to migrate.
So the question is, do we do any throttling?
And if you don't, have any idea
So let me ask the first question. So we do some throttling, and basically the throttling is done within the tool itself. So the tool goes up and it tries to push as fast as it can, but it realizes that there's a lot of things that could prevent it from being able to push. Like you may have a slow link, or Microsoft may not have enough bandwidth. So far we haven't had any issues with like having enough, like we haven't had too many people trying to migrate. But basically the tool itself will start scaling back the number of threads that it's trying to use to talk to Microsoft Online. So it'll allocate, like if you give us, say, 50 threads, but only 3 threads can be used, and then it's not getting any more responses back, it won't spawn off more threads. And so the tool itself will actually scale itself back. That's the first thing. The second question was throughput. Okay, so that is completely based on your environment and how much bandwidth you have and latency and things like that. The fastest we've seen is 2.5 gig per hour per a single instance machine, and typically then what people will do is they'll bring up multiple machines and just run them. So if you want to get 5 gig an hour, you bring up 2. If you want to get 10, then you bring up 4, and that's what we've seen is people have just kind of just scaled it out. No, on Microsoft side, we haven't hit a top limit yet. So we haven't hit it yet. So all right, I know I've gone quickly through this because I want to get to the Domino stuff. So that is, in fact, we're talking about bandwidth. We were just talking about that. Consider about your permissions. We do support remigration, so you can migrate and remigrate again, and when you remigrate, we will not duplicate. And also think about what's not included. These are the 4 things we don't migrate. We don't migrate permissions. We don't migrate delegate settings. We don't migrate rules, and we don't migrate Outlook settings. So after a migration, someone will need to reset Outlook, and they will, will need to reconfigure their rules and any settings that they have had. When they're done migration, the end user has to configure his desktop. We have an application called this is the single sign-on client that will automatically configure Outlook. But when they do configure Outlook, it will download the entire OST. And so you do get a morning after. And in fact, that's typically where we've seen the bandwidth is during the migration. You've got to push everything up, and then on Monday, you have all of these people downloading it. And so consider about kind of how much bandwidth you have so that you can get support all those users that are migrating downward. So the other thing you need to think about, that they're downloading all their content. The other thing you need to think about is conference rooms. We do support conference rooms in Microsoft Online. We do have a process that's a little bit more difficult because you have to manually create the users. You can't sync the conference rooms up, so you have to manually create the conference rooms. I mean, not users, but conference rooms. So you manually create them, and then the migration tools will work. So that's pretty much how you migrate. Again, you want to do that as fast as possible. After the migration, it's just about cleaning up the mailbox, and that's very simple. We actually have a tool. The migration tool will go in and actually delete the mailboxes for you. So once you've done the migration, you can come in on Monday or Tuesday afterwards and delete the local mailboxes. And what's nice about the tool, when it deletes the local mailboxes, it will take care of the contact. It'll delete that extra contact and basically leave you with a mail-enabled object, a mail-enabled user with a forwarder to Microsoft Online. So it kind of handles all of that. So it's very easy to go and clean up after you've done all the mailboxes. And we do it as 2 steps because you may want to migrate and then, come back and maybe there was, you want to have some safety so that we leave that mailbox on premise for a few days before you go and delete it. So that's basically the process. All right, and then after that, you change your MX record. Once you've moved everybody, you just change your MX record, and that's it. You've now got your mail migrated to Microsoft Online. And I know these last few slides I went pretty quickly because I wanted to get to some of your stuff around Domino. Okay. So.